Alrighty, so I just rewatched the game between the Seattle Sounders versus FC Cincinnati a moment ago because I wasn't able to watch this game live since I was at the Mexico versus Colombia game yesterday, which, by the way, that was definitely a great game, and that I'm definitely going to upload the vlog and the Sports Hub episode that very soon. But in terms of this game between the Sounders versus FC Cincinnati, well, it was a game where for most part of the first half and in the beginning of the second half, it looked like this was going to be one of those games where, yeah, it was going to be tough to watch as a neutral where nothing happened. But then the last 30 minutes happened, and the last 30 minutes really provide some entertainment at a rate where you can definitely see that both of these teams desperately need a win. And at the end of the day, both of these teams don't get the win, and you can definitely sense that both of these teams will be very frustrated with the way that they weren't able to get a crucial win to either keep their slim playoff hopes alive in the case of the Seattle Sounders, or FC Cincinnati trying to stay away from the red line and build them some cushion as we head down into the last couple of games of the regular season. Now, in the first half, as I mentioned, the first 60 minutes, it was pretty boring, but it was nothing compared to what we saw in the beginning of this game. I mean, yeah, that was really tough to watch, and that, again, this was kind of one of those games that if you missed like the first 15 or 20 minutes of this game, you did not miss much because there was nothing that was happening in the first 15 and really for the first 20 minutes of this game. I mean, the Sounders had most of the possession, but again, Cincinnati, they were kind of putting a low block, and in some ways that, it feels like Cincinnati was just going to try to defend and maybe get out of this game with a point. And the fact that the Sounders, this was kind of a Tacoma Defiance kind of team with the way that they are missing a couple of key guys because of international duty, and hence, when you add a combination of that, that's why it turns out to be a very boring first 20 minutes of this game. Or maybe it's just because of the fact that maybe both teams was just kind of feeling each other out. And again, this is a game that had some big playoff implication in both sides of the conference. Now, in the 21st minute, the first shot of the game finally came as Rusnak actually put one right to Saotano, and that one was from 40 yards out. Yeah, that just basically summarized how the start of this game is, where, somebody's got to have to take an ambitious shot and maybe try to trouble the goalkeeper, but yeah, that was pretty easy for Saotano to catch that one. And despite the fact that it was boring, believe it or not, we actually had the opening goal of this game, as Brenner would score here to make it 1-0 in favor of Cincinnati. This was a world-class through ball from Acosta. And even though Acosta didn't get on the assist chart, because I believe this was actually deflected to from Sissoko, and unfortunately for Sissoko, he just kind of deflected right into the path of Brenner. You can't not dismiss how good of a pass this was from Lucho Acosta. And again, fortunate bounce that came to Brenner away, with Sissoko kind of put it right into the path of him. Brenner basically went for one goal, and with the form that Brenner has been in this season, he's not going to miss that. He buries that one to give Cincinnati a 1-0 lead. And after that, I thought Seattle continued to dominate possession, but again, not having the likes of Ladero and Rui Diaz have really killed their chances of doing well in the final third in this game. Although they did have a big opportunity and probably the best chance of the night for the Sounders up to that point in the 35th minute, as Sanotano would rob Bruin, who put a header from close range. Possession continued to be heavy in favor of the Sounders, and again, Cincinnati, they just looked like they were going to bunker and just trying to walk away with 3 points, and it's not a bad idea because, again, up to that point, besides that big save that Sanotano made on Bruin, they really haven't created a lot of chances, the Seattle Sounders, and I thought this was the right strategy for Cincinnati to just kind of sit back and hope to get all 3 points. But as the halftime whistle was sound, you can definitely hear there's been a lot of frustration in the 30,000s so inside Lumen's Field, because boos was definitely heard around Lumen Field, as Sounders fans were very frustrated with the way the team performed. And again, I get it. This is pretty much a must-win game for the Seattle Sounders, and that it's not easy to play a must-win game when they're missing a lot of their starters, and the fact that they're pretty much playing a Tacoma Defiance kind of team. But at the same time, this is the Seattle Sounders, and their fan base have high expectation of this team, no matter if they're putting a weak squad or putting a strong squad. Yeah, they're not going to be happy with the product that they saw in the first half with that kind of display, especially in a must-win game. So yeah, I mean, in some way, I think it's justified. But again, I know that there will be some people that have that principle of no, you shouldn't be booing your own team at halftime. And again, I'm not going to really kind of go into too deep in a rabbit hole of whether or not that is a good idea, because that's another discussion for another video. Now, in the second half, as we head to this one with Cincinnati leading 1-0, like the first half, not much was happening in the beginning of the second half. The Sounders continued to dominate possession, and Cincy continued to elect to sit back. Moreno then pulls it wide from long range for Cincy in the 52nd minute before Rodon was summoned off the bench. And, this was a big question coming down the stretch of whether or not if Christian Rodon actually will appear for the Sounders before the playoff begin, or in this case, whether or not if he actually going to be appearing in case if the Sounders don't make the playoffs. And the answer is yes. And it's kind of a surprising yes, because I thought that injury that he had was going to keep him out at least maybe toward the beginning of the playoffs. But I guess you can definitely see the Sounders were desperate. Like they absolutely need themselves to not only get a goal back in this one, but to win this game. They decided to bring on Rodon in, and it kind of created a spark to this team, because immediately after Rodon was on the pitch for the Sounders, they would score. It's Freddie Montero scoring from row to give the Sounders the equalizer. What a goal this was from Montero. I mean, he absolutely hit a banger from about 22 yards out. And what's even more impressive about this goal is the fact that he basically had no rights in terms of hitting that, and goes into the back of the net. Like, he had no angle in terms of hitting it, and somehow he still were able to find a way to get past Salatano. I mean, you could maybe question Salatano might have done better, but that was just an absolute rifle from Freddie Montero. And also, let's not forget about the pass from Kelvin Rowe that sets up. I mean, it was a delicious pass that he sets up Montero, even a chance to try to shoot from long range. And yeah, that ties the game up at 1 apiece. I even wrote goal of the week with a question mark. And I mean, in terms of this match week, that might as well be the goal of the week, because this is the only match of the midweek action for match week number 33. But in the 59th minute, Vasquez tried to give an instant response for Cincinnati, but he puts it wide. I mean, Vasquez was definitely having an off night in this one. I mean, he was definitely not doing very well in front of goal, and this was an example of it. And then Rodon had a chance to give the Sounders the lead. He had a free header in the box, but he puts that one wide. I mean, if that went in, Lumen Field will absolutely erupted. But after 57 minutes of boring action, this game has really come to life. Chu then blasted high in the far post before, in the 68th minute, things take a turn for the worse for the Seattle Sounders, as Callan Rowe would get a straight red for denial of goal score opportunity. And then on that ensuing free kick, Barria would put it just wide on the free kick. And knowing the fact that Cincinnati were a man up, they looked like they were smelling blood, and they want to get all 3 points. Santos would head it high from the corner before Fry would rob Vasquez from point blank. Again, with the quality that Brendan Vasquez has this season, and the goal scoring form that he is in, you would think Brendan Vasquez would put that one into the back then. I mean, that's not to not discredit Stephen Fry of making a huge save, and a save that at that point looked like it was a season-saving save for the Sounders. Vasquez absolutely has to put that one into the back of the net. But that being said, Cincinnati was pressing for the winner, but because of a combination of Fry and poor finishing for Cincy, it's keeping the Seattle Sounders season alive up to that point. Santos then had a shot from the near post that goes high before, in the 5th minute of stoppage time. Oh boy, this is one that Sergio Santos is going to think about a long time. In fact, I think Cincinnati fans are going to be thinking about this one a lot, because he was basically wide open from 4 yards down. All he had to do was basically tap it in, and he somehow blasted over the bar. I mean, I think that shot is pretty much a classic example of it's actually harder to miss from that area than actually score. And that, yeah, I have no idea how Santos did not put that one in from that close of a range. But still, in the end, it ends in a 1-1 draw between both of these teams, as the shots in this one, 11 shots compared to 9 that the Sounders had, 4 shots on goal for the 2 that Cincinnati had, 7 shots off target for the 3 that the Sounders had. Both teams had 2 shots that was blocked, and possession-wise, 53% possession compared to 47% possession that Cincinnati has. And like I said, in a game where both of these teams need a win, they don't get it, and both of these teams are not going to be happy with this result. I mean, for Cincinnati case, yes, coming into this game, if you would have told them that they got a point on the road against the Sounders, they would take it. But with the way how this game turns out, and especially with some of the most obvious chances that they should have put the ball in the back of the net, and they don't do it, yeah, they will be very frustrated with that. And now, they only have I believe they have a 5-point lead in terms of being above the red line. But keep in mind, pretty much every team below them do have a game in hand, so that lead can really quickly disappear to a point where 2 games remain. Cincinnati could find themselves like 2 points or even 1 point above the red line. But for the Seattle Sounders, this is a game that, it's a must-win game for them, knowing the fact that their playoff chances is already on the fringe. And after tonight, not getting the result they need, I think you can say that maybe it's lights out for the Seattle Sounders in terms of their playoff chances. Like, unless if something dramatic could happen, which it could still do, because, this season, one thing I know is that it's not a normal season in terms of the playoff race. The playoff race seems to always change every single bit. So, yeah, they still have a shot, but like I said, it's getting to that territory where the Sounders are now indeed facing elimination. Like, if they don't win their next game, I think they will be eliminated. In fact, it's not I think. They will be eliminated because they're 5 points back below the red line with just 2 games left this season. But there you have it. That is pretty much it for my review of this game between the Seattle Sounders and FC Cincinnati. Let me know in the comments below, what do you think of this game? And yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you do, make sure you guys like, smash the subscribe button, and yeah, I of course will see you guys next time.